Tonight on News 3 Now, ice will continue to be a problem overnight as temperatures drop back below freezing for the first time since last week.
And police make an arrest after the random attack of a UW student. We're taking a look at the suspect's criminal history and why some are saying he shouldn't have been out to begin with.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for joining us for News 3 Now. The weather continues to be our big story tonight.
The rain, sleet, freezing rain is over, but temperatures are about to plummet. The wind picking up as well. Team coverage tonight. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti in the backyard. Madeline O'Neill live on the west side. We begin with Gary in our first alert forecast. Gary?
Well, Eric, those temperatures have really crashed over the last few hours, and now temperatures are to the point where even if you put salt out on the ice, it's really not going to have much of an effect. The freezing rain, sleet, snow, all off to the east of us now. There might be a flurry or two in a couple of spots, but for the most part, skies are actually turning partly cloudy. So most of the precipitation is over with here in southern Wisconsin. Right now, winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings are in effect north and west of the Wisconsin River. Those are set to expire at midnight. They're mainly for some light snow that fell earlier this evening and blowing snow. To our south already, winter weather advisories are in effect until 10 a.m. for much of northern Illinois and eastern Iowa for a combination of strong winds, blowing snow, and bitter wind chills. High temperatures today were in the upper 20s to the lower 30s. Here in Madison, we topped out at 31. But take a look at where the temperatures are now. We're at 6 degrees. Temperatures are close to zero near the Mississippi River, and those wind chills continue to drop. We're at about 10 below zero here in Madison. To the west, wind chills are approaching 20 below zero near the Mississippi River, and wind chill advisories are in effect from 3 a.m. through noon tomorrow. Otherwise, look for temperatures to crash to just below zero by early morning with wind chills to minus 25. Tomorrow's high temperature at 7 degrees. That's your first alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. In Rock County, ice-covered roads are creating issues for drivers. 54 reported runoffs, 24 crashes. And while salt trucks have been out icing the roads, officials say the cold temperatures will make that salt less effective. Some are calling this ice the worst of the season, leading to perilous travel conditions either on foot or by vehicle.
And not properly clearing your sidewalk can come with a cost. Madeline O'Neill has more.
Yeah, Eric and Charlotte, my main goal out here tonight is not falling, and it is really slippery on these sidewalks. As you can see, it's, almost pure ice out here, and that's not unique to the West Side neighborhood. It's really easy to fall when it's this slippery, so that's why it's so important that you're clearing your sidewalks.
This is the worst.
From cars to trees to sidewalks.
They're bad. They're terrible.
The ice is taking over.
It's scary because I've fallen on black ice.
Madison resident Betty Peterson is fighting back.
I was thinking maybe try to scrape it, see what I can do.
She often walks to work and doesn't want the ice to take fellow pedestrians as victims.
You just got to watch your steps and so you don't fall and get hurt.
Some of these sidewalks are pretty treacherous. If you're walking outside, you may notice there's pure ice. And it's up to the homeowner to make sure their sidewalks are reasonably clear.
Unless you're walking almost on all fours, there's a good chance you're going to fall.
George Hank with Madison's Building Inspection Division says we haven't seen ice this bad all season.
Not like this, not even close. This is reminiscent of some big ice storms that we've had in the past.
In Madison, the deadline for homeowners to clear sidewalks of snow and ice is by noon the day after precipitation has stopped. Or else they face potential citations or bills for a city-hired crew to clear their walkways.
One of my mantras is clean early and clean often.
Although ice like this can be hard to cut through, Hank has some pointers.
I always stress sand, sand, sand.
He says at low temperatures, salt becomes ineffective, but sand can always bring added traction. On slippery sidewalks, anything to help in the battle against ice is much appreciated. And any way you slice it, ice is no match against time. We'll get through this, right?
You better believe it. Spring is coming closer.
Now, city officials tell me noon tomorrow would be the earliest deadline for having to make sure your sidewalks are clear, but they won't start enforcement until city-maintained sidewalks are taken care of as well. City officials also tell us that salt is kind of at a premium right now. A lot of stores are out, but they do have plenty of sand. The city is also giving out free sand while supplies last at certain locations. We'll have those locations on our website. Charlotte and Eric.
Madeline O'Neill reporting tonight. Maddie, thank you. In total, SSM Health says they've treated 24 people in slip and fall cases today. Most were in Janesville, followed by Madison and Sun Prairie. There aren't any reported cases in Baraboo or Lake Delton.
After 23 days, the Columbia Correctional Institution is no longer on lockdown. The DOC says it was part of a routine search, but inmates and their family members aren't buying it. We spoke with an inmate today who describes what was going on from inside the prison walls.
Although they told you guys we was getting hot meals, it took at least a week before we even got a hot meal. That was only Monday through Friday. And we was asking them, like, what's up with the weekend? They said, well, no hot meals on the weekend. And it was hard to get this information out because we couldn't call home. We were scared to write because they open up our mail before it goes out.
A responding statement from CCI, they write in part, quote, our first concern and purpose is to keep our staff, inmates, their loved ones, and anyone who enters our institution safe. Periodic searches of institutions are essential to that goal. A Madison man in jail tonight waiting to be charged for the violent assault of a woman last week.
But this crime wouldn't be the first. In fact, police were able to arrest him for violating probation. Amy Reed dug into his criminal record today and joins us with more.
Yeah, this is the guy we're talking about, 22-year-old Jerome Winslow, and this is just a chunk of his criminal history. We have felony battery to a police officer, felony intimidation, and a handful of violent misdemeanors. And as far as these court records show, he hasn't served 1 day of prison time, and that's left the rest of us wondering why.
Not even 1 week ago, Langdon Street was a scene from someone's nightmare. A 19-year-old student walking here in the middle of the night was attacked, pulled from the sidewalk, and beaten in an alley by someone police think was a complete stranger.
It's scary. It's a really, really scary thing to do, especially being at part of a university where you think you feel safe. And for that to have happened?
Madison police think it never should have because they believe the man they think did it, Jerome Winslow, should have already been in prison. Just look at his criminal background. This case from 2015, for example. It starts with a fight with his ex in which she said he took her phone and threw it against the wall. Then she said he grabbed her, pushing her against the wall. And once she gets away and locks herself in her apartment, she said he pounded on the door, demanding she let him in. When she didn't, he broke through it, knocking off the deadbolt and leaving splinters in the hall. Police reports show he shoved her to the ground, bit her until she bled, and kicked her in the face. For this, he was charged with felony intimidation and misdemeanor battery, among other things. The district attorney offered him a plea, and the judge sentenced him to no prison time, just probation. And when court records show he attacked an officer, probation. Domestic abuse, probation.
This needs confinement. This person has had opportunities. No more. No more.
The frustration doesn't just stay in the police department. These students walking Langdon only 4 days later say they want more done too.
We're supposed to be a lot more careful out here and be very vigilant. But even then, why should it be up to us to constantly feel unsafe in our neighborhood instead of the neighborhood already being safe for us?
Now, the district attorney did not get back to us on this story, but this only covers Dane County. He has a felony record in Jefferson County, too, for armed robbery. The judge originally sentenced him to 8 years in prison, but that was stayed, and instead, he got probation.
The principal at Beloit Memorial High School has been placed on administrative leave. Orlando Ramos was hired for the position in July. The school district is not releasing the reason for the leave, but says it is an administrative issue. Governor Evers has ordered all flags to half-staff in honor of fallen Milwaukee police officer Matthew Rittner. Today, the department released a photo of the shooting suspect. He has been identified as 26-year-old Jordan Fricke. Investigators say Fricke fired several rounds, hitting the 17-year police veteran as he and others served a search warrant yesterday morning. Vicky has not yet been charged in Officer Rittner's death, although it is expected in the coming days. Rittner is the third Milwaukee police officer killed on the job in the last 8 months.
Well, wind chills will soon be below zero. Your first alert forecast is coming up.
But first, a local man's drawings showing his journey with heart disease, how they're offering insight, hope, and positivity to others in UW's transplant clinic. Welcome back. A Middleton man's drawings depicting his journey to a new heart are now hanging in UW Hospital's transplant clinic.
Only on News 3 Now. As Amanda Quintana shows us, this road was full of obstacles at many times, needing a combination of luck and faith to keep going.
To understand how much this moment means,
There he goes.
we have to rewind 8 months to back before the accident that changed Scott Kirkpatrick's life.
While driving, had a massive, massive heart attack, and then was able to swerve just a little bit so no one else got hurt, but he did hit a tree going 80 miles an hour.
With 24 broken bones and machines keeping him alive, Scott was given a second chance.
He was flatlined for a little bit here, but they brought him back. They brought him all the way back.
After 8 months of rehab and dialysis, he's home, trying to figure out why he survived. So he draws.
You know, the shirt says life is good, but if you look here, it says compared to the alternative. So it's not lost on him that he almost didn't survive.
Each step of his journey, good or bad, now depicted by him.
He went through this horrific accident and heart attack, and he made it through, but his health is declining, and he's getting weaker, and his heart literally is dying. And it's kind of like running a marathon and then finding out, oh, you're not done, you got to run another one, because now you have to wait for a heart transplant.
Another battle he'd need to fight. His heart had too much damage. It's pumping too weak, but the transplant declined. More than 2 months later, he's approved, but just to be on the waiting list.
And we have patients that are on the waiting list, you know, a day or two, and patients are on the waiting list for years. I've taken to telling patients there's so much luck in any kind of transplant scenario.
Scott was lucky. In just 8 days, he got the call gifting him another chance at life.
He literally drew a picture of his mom and dad, who have passed away, as angels up in heaven, and he's like a little swaddled newborn baby, and that drawing was literally done 10 minutes before they wheeled him down for transplant surgery.
He went in trusting his angels.
That lesson was Scott at the time, but now for us, now that we've lost him, that's our lesson too.
The transplant was successful, but 6 months later and just over a year after his first accident, another one.
He took a wrong turn and accidentally drove into the Wisconsin River and drowned. I was actually in the car with him and was able to get out and get to shore, but he didn't make it. I don't know why it had to happen that way. I don't know why he had to suffer and be such a warrior, you know, to be there for his kids, because he wanted so badly to, you know, to be Grandpa K. He already had a nickname for himself, and he lived for his kids, and we certainly weren't ready to let him go.
The ups and downs of his journey, the waiting, looking back on the anniversary of his heart attack, pain in his ankles, mood swings of anti-rejection meds. Scott already sent to UW Hospital's art coordinator to start this exhibit. His wife, Carrie, along with their 2 children, left to explain what the pieces meant to him, adding her own loving life lesson to each moment.
Grief goes in waves, and you're always taught that you know, there's no right or wrong way to grieve, but it was hard. There's a few pictures. There's one called Blue Shirt that I can just see him, you know, it's his face and his eyes, but the picture, he's in pain. You know, he's been through so much and he's got so far to go.
Not every stage is pictured.
Unfortunately, in the drowning accident, he had all his electronics in the car, and so what we have is what we have, but we lost dozens and dozens of drawings.
But the ones that are, Scott hoped would inspire others walking down the hallway to the transplant clinic. Patients, families, even doctors.
You just never know what's going to happen when you wake up in the morning, and every day is a gift. And, you know, I think that theme in Scott's art is certainly part of it.
A reminder to appreciate the little things and live by the answer Scott gave to everyone who asked how he was doing. Loving life.
It isn't a linear journey. It isn't, I just get better every day. It's like life. It's up and down, up and down. So I just hope that that lesson rings true, that people know they just got to keep moving forward.
The many members of the hospital staff who knew Scott during his time there, they'll join his friends and family for a reception tomorrow night.
The exhibit will stay up through February.
All right, we turn now to the all-important forecast because it's dicey out there. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti.
Yeah, but you know where the ice is? It's going to stay there for a couple of days because it's going to be too cold for the salt to really work on it. So we're already at that point. We have alert days in the forecast overnight for flurries that will be ending. So there could still be some blowing snow in some spots, but bitterly cold wind chills will be down to 25 below zero or colder by morning. And then bitterly cold weather will continue for the day tomorrow, with wind chills staying 5 to 15 below zero during the day and dropping to 20 below zero by early on Saturday morning. Now, the freezing rain and snow has shifted off to the east. Just a couple of flurries might be left over southern Wisconsin. So the advisories and warnings have been canceled or allowed to expire for south central Wisconsin. Still are winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings for the northwestern parts of our viewing area that go until midnight. To our south, there are winter weather advisories for a combination of wind and blowing snow and bitterly cold wind chills. And out to the west, the blowing snow is still producing blizzard conditions over parts of Iowa and Minnesota, where blizzard warnings are still in effect. But look at the temperatures right now. Single digits through most of the state and below zero through much of Minnesota. And these winds, which at times have been gusting to 40 to 45 miles per hour, especially across Iowa and northern Illinois, where the land is a little bit flatter, are producing wind chills around 10 below zero here in Madison, but already in the mid-30s below zero across parts of south central Minnesota. Wind chill warnings are in effect for that area. We're under wind chill advisory from 3 a.m. through noon tomorrow. Then we look for some snow. This is from Sunday into Sunday night, about a 1 to 3 inch snowfall over southern southern Wisconsin. And then a second storm system bringing additional snow accumulations. That could be a little more significant, maybe somewhere around 5 or 6 inches on Tuesday into early Wednesday morning. So we go from cold back to the snow again by the end of the weekend. Live view from the Edgewater Sky Cam downtown Madison. Looks a little hazy. Some of that is just blowing snow from earlier today. High today 31 earlier, but we're down to our low for the day of 6. We may still drop below that before midnight. A couple flurries still being reported at the airport. Winds are out of the west at 12. That drops our wind chill to 9 degrees below zero. The main part of the storm system now shifting to the east. Showers and heavy thunderstorms in the warmer area where temperatures were in the 70s over parts of West Virginia out ahead of this cold front. But now it's the Arctic blast that's just sweeping in behind the main area of low pressure. And look at these temperatures right now. Below zero, almost 30 below zero already across parts of eastern Montana. Some areas may get down to 35 to 40 below zero by early tomorrow morning. So again, winter storm warning and a winter weather advisory for our far northwestern viewers until midnight. Wind chill advisory from 3 a.m. through noon tomorrow. Look for an overnight low temperature of 1 degree below zero by morning with wind chills down to 25 below. For tomorrow, look for sunny skies, but a high of only 7 degrees, bitterly cold through the day. Those temperatures tumbling below zero tonight. Tomorrow, they get back up only into the single digits, go back down to near 10 below zero by Saturday morning. And then on Saturday, some clouds moving late in the day with highs in the teens. And then as we take a look at that 10-day forecast, you'll see chances for snow on Sunday, and then again Tuesday. And then toward the end of the week, we could see a system that brings the potential for some freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Just, you know, kind of mix things up a little bit in the next 10 days.
Change it all up.
It hasn't been busy enough.
Thank you.
Badger football season opener will be on a Friday once again. A story coming up in sports.
They tried something new for the NBA All-Star Game. They had the captains pick their teams for all the world to see. The captains, the Lakers' LeBron James, and the Bucks' Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it was pretty interesting. First, LeBron took Kevin Durant for the second year in a row, this time in public. Then Giannis did what everyone thought he would do. He picked Steph Curry with his first choice. Now, you really can't go wrong with a roster as good as this. Giannis ended up with Curry, Joel Embiid, Paul George, and Kemba Walker joining himself as starters. His first reserve pick was his Bucks teammate Chris Middleton. The NBA All-Star Game is February 17th in Charlotte. Bucks made another trade today. They got Nikola Mirotic from the New Orleans Pelicans. The Bucks sent Stanley Johnson, who they got yesterday in a trade, Jason Smith, and 4 second-round draft choices to the Pelicans. Mirotic is averaging almost 17 points and over 8 rebounds a game. And the New York Knicks waived former Madison Memorial star Wesley Matthews. Matthews was traded to the Knicks from Dallas a couple of weeks ago. He's expected to sign with the Indiana Pacers. For the third straight year, the Badger football season will start on a Friday. It'll start on Friday, August 30th against South Florida, with the game played at Raymond James Stadium, home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The start time hasn't been announced, but it will be a primetime game on one of the ESPN networks, Friday, August 30th. 8 former Badgers have been invited to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. There are 338 players in the Combine, and 8 played at Wisconsin, including David Edwards, Bo Benshaw, Ryan Connolly, Michael Dieter, Dakota Dixon, T.J. Edwards, Alec Ingold, and Andrew Van Ginkel. That Combine begins February 26th. The Badger men's basketball team plays at Michigan Saturday morning at 11. The Badgers are tied for third place in the Big Ten standings now after last night's 56-51 win at Minnesota. That's 6 straight wins for the Badgers. They aren't always the prettiest, but they are wins nevertheless. And the deeper into the season you go, the bigger each win becomes.
You just find a way. I've been in this league long enough that it is hard on the road. And like I said before, we're into February now where I just watch the other games, how they are. It's punch for punch, and they're slugfest, and you just find a way.
Baseball Hall of Famer Frank Robinson has died at age 83. Robinson was the first black manager in baseball history with the Cleveland Indians in 1975. He's still the only player to win the Most Valuable Player award in both the National and the American Leagues. Our Prep Mania game of the week tonight was postponed. The Sun Prairie at La Follette boys basketball game has been rescheduled for Tuesday, February 19th. Our next one is a week from tonight. Could very well determine the Big 8 Girls Basketball Championship. Middleton will be at Sun Prairie live 7:15 next Thursday on channel3000.com. And Tom Brady's post-Super Bowl celebration includes a close shave. The Patriots quarterback goes under the knife for charity today. Oh, please don't nick that beautiful face. Brady's shave raises $35,000 each for 3 Boston charities. They'll also auction off the razor used on Brady to raise more money. My wife thinks Brady is good looking, but not like the best. I think he's a really handsome fellow. You can discuss it among yourselves. And we'll be right back.
Well, there's the current temperatures. They continue to drop. They're in the single digits. Wind chills now between about 10 and 20 below zero. And look at the wind chill advisory through noon tomorrow, beginning at 3 a.m. tonight. And the next 10 days, some snow chances after we get out of the cold, some more snow chances, and then a winter storm toward the end of next week with a mix of precipitation.
All right, Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.